I'm Dr. Camilla Rocha, with more than 10 years accompanying men on their journey toward health, vitality, and confidence. In all this time, I've seen many resign themselves to the idea that fatigue, heartburn, lack of energy, and intimate problems are an inevitable part of aging. However, science and clinical experience have taught me that in most cases, the real problem isn't age, but rather the habits that allow silent enemies to take root in the body. Today, I want to talk to you about something so simple that you probably have it in your home, yet it holds surprising power: baking soda. When I mention this word in consultations, many men smile incredulously. Doctor, how is it possible that such a cheap and common powder has any importance in medicine? They ask me. And it's normal, because we often associate health with expensive medications, imported supplements, or complex therapies. But the truth is that baking soda, when used intelligently, can become a shield against acidity, a hidden ally for muscles, a protector of the heart, a booster for intimate vitality, and a guardian of longevity. It's not about seeing it as a miracle cure, but as a simple tool that, integrated into healthy habits, can make a real difference. I remember Pedro, a 52-year-old man who came to me with an endless list of complaints: burning in his stomach after every meal, muscle fatigue with the slightest effort, shortness of breath when climbing stairs, and most painfully for him, a loss of confidence in his intimate life. He looked defeated, convinced that his time had passed. I talked to him about nutrition, movement, rest, and also how a simple white powder could help him regain internal balance. He looked at me surprised, but agreed to try it. Weeks later, his face was different. More color in his skin, more firmness in his voice, more joy in his gestures. His phrase still echoes in my memory: "I never thought something so simple could give me my life back." This video is not an invitation to self-medicate or believe in magical remedies. It's a guide to understanding how baking soda, through 5 specific habits, can support men's health in a practical, safe, and surprising way. Stay with me until the end, because you'll discover that small changes have the power to save your life and give you years of energy and well-being. One of the most common problems in men of all ages is stomach acidity. That burning sensation that rises like fire after a heavy meal seems harmless, but in reality, it's a silent enemy that gradually damages the esophageal lining, causing inflammation, chronic cough, and even the risk of ulcers. Baking soda, when used in moderation, acts as an antidote against this hidden poison. By neutralizing excess hydrochloric acid, it provides almost immediate relief and restores calm to the body. Luis, 47 years old, came to me saying, "Doctor, every night, my stomach turns into a volcano." He could barely sleep and woke up exhausted. I recommended changes in his diet, reducing fried foods and alcohol, and, in crisis situations, a glass of water with half a teaspoon of baking soda. The result was surprising. Nights stopped being a battle, meals became enjoyable moments again, and the smile returned to his face. Luis discovered that he didn't need to live as a slave to acidity, that he could control that internal fire with simple, conscious decisions. Science backs this experience. Baking soda is a natural antacid that relieves reflux symptoms, but it shouldn't be used as a daily solution. Overuse can turn it into a hidden thief that steals minerals like calcium and potassium, weakening bones and muscles. The key here is moderation. Use it when the burning is unbearable, not as a substitute for a balanced diet. And what's most interesting is that baking soda doesn't just calm the stomach. Its effect on acid-base balance opens the door to other surprising benefits that go far beyond digestion. Imagine that the same powder that quenches the internal fire can also ignite the spark in your muscles. That's the story I'll tell you in the next habit. After 40, many men start to feel that their body no longer responds the same way. Climbing a hill, carrying grocery bags, or exercising becomes a challenge that once seemed simple. What many don't know is that behind that fatigue hides a silent enemy: lactic acid. This byproduct of physical effort accumulates in the muscles and causes pain, fatigue, and stiffness. Baking soda, used intelligently, becomes a natural buffer, capable of neutralizing this hidden poison and restoring the lost spark. Javier, a 40-year-old man, loved running marathons. However, he had abandoned his passion because his legs would harden like stones after just a few kilometers. He arrived at the consultation frustrated, convinced that his body had given up. After evaluating his case, we worked with a simple protocol: proper hydration, a mineral-rich diet, and on intense training days, a glass of water with half a teaspoon of dissolved baking soda. The result was immediate: less pain, greater endurance, and the feeling of regaining control over his muscles. Javier returned to running, but more importantly, he felt young again. Baking soda doesn't turn anyone into an athlete overnight, but it does improve the body's ability to handle the acidity generated by effort. By reducing the impact of lactic acid, it allows for longer training sessions, faster recovery, and sustained energy throughout the day. However, like any resource, it must be used in moderation. Excess can cause stomach discomfort and diarrhea, so the key is supervision and the right measure. Now, what's most surprising is that this effect isn't limited to the muscles. By balancing internal pH, baking soda opens the door to an even greater benefit: protecting the cardiovascular system. And if there's one organ that defines a man's life and vitality, it's the heart. The heart beats about 100,000 times a day, pumping blood and oxygen to every corner of the body. But when the blood becomes too acidic due to bad habits, sedentary lifestyle, or excess stress, inflammation takes over the arteries and paves the way for hypertension, diabetes, and heart attacks. This process is a hidden thief that steals years of life without the person noticing. Here, baking soda emerges as a silent shield that helps maintain acid-base balance, reducing the fertile ground for inflammation. Manuel, 55 years old, is a clear example. He arrived exhausted, with high blood pressure and no energy. Every staircase was a torment, and the idea of a heart attack haunted his mind. Along with a cleaner diet and daily walks, we incorporated baking soda twice a week, always in small doses. 3 months later, his tests showed notable improvement: less inflammation, more stable blood pressure, and a sense of lightness in his body that he hadn't felt in years. It wasn't magic. It was science acting through a simple habit. Studies have shown that maintaining a more balanced pH promotes blood vessel elasticity and improves circulation. Baking soda doesn't replace medication, but it can become a silent ally in the fight against cardiovascular aging. The heart is the engine of life. Protecting it means protecting a man's energy, vitality, and confidence. And what's most interesting is that this white powder, which many only use to clean the kitchen, can also directly impact the most intimate sphere of masculinity. Because circulation not only nourishes the heart, it also sustains intimate life. Talking about erectile function still makes many uncomfortable, but it's a reality. Men's intimate health depends on circulation, oxygenation, and the absence of inflammation. When blood flow is compromised, problems arise that affect not just the body, but also self-esteem, relationships, and sense of manhood. Baking soda, by improving acid-base balance and promoting a less inflammatory environment, becomes an unexpected ally for masculine vitality. Ricardo, a 50-year-old man, arrived at the consultation with his gaze lowered. "Doctor, I feel like I'm not the same anymore," he told me. He had lost confidence. He felt less like a man and feared talking about it with his partner. I explained that the problem wasn't solely psychological. His circulation was compromised and his body needed support. With specific exercises, a lighter diet, and baking soda immersion baths, Ricardo began to notice changes. They weren't immediate or miraculous, but week by week, he regained firmness, energy, and, above all, confidence in himself. Chronic inflammation is a hidden poison that silently attacks virility. Neutralizing it means restoring life, strength, and dignity. Baking soda isn't a magical cure, but it is a resource that, combined with other habits, helps rebuild lost security. And if this seems surprising so far, there's still the most important part, because beyond the stomach, muscles, heart, and intimacy, this white powder can become a silent guardian of something even greater: longevity. The question every man asks himself sooner or later is, how many more years will I live with energy? The answer doesn't depend only on genetics, but on habits. Chronic metabolic acidosis is one of the factors that accelerates aging, weakening the kidneys, bones, and vital organs. It's like a hidden thief that steals vitality little by little. Baking soda, by helping to maintain a more alkaline environment, becomes an ally for prolonging quality of life. Ernesto, 63 years old, arrived at my consultation resigned. "Doctor, I suppose it's too late for me," he confessed. He lived tired, with joint pains and no desire for anything. We started a simple plan: more water, short walks, fewer processed foods, and baking soda on specific days. In a few weeks, his body began to respond. Fatigue decreased, his skin regained color, and his mood changed completely. It didn't give me back 20 years, but it gave me 10 more of quality, he told me excitedly. Longevity isn't about the quantity of years, but the quality of life. And baking soda, integrated wisely, can become a tool for reaching old age with energy, lucidity, and dignity. It's not a miracle, it's a choice. Dear friend, baking soda is not a magic wand or a substitute for medications. It's a simple resource that, used responsibly, can become a shield against silent enemies, an antidote against hidden poisons, and an ally against the hidden thieves of your vitality. The real power lies in understanding that health doesn't always depend on the complex and expensive, but on consistency with small habits. I'm Dr. Camila Rocha, and after more than 10 years accompanying men on their journey toward health, I want to leave you with a clear message. Never underestimate the simple. The simple sustains life. Today, you have the opportunity to choose whether to let fatigue, acidity, and lack of energy steal years from your life, or to take a conscious step and begin integrating changes that can save you. Because in the end, small changes can save your life.